All right, guys, we are live. Hopefully, everyone has having a great Tuesday. I said I'd be live between 6:30 and 7:30 p.m. Central Time on TikTok and YouTube. So hopefully, everyone's doing fantastic. Let me do a sound check, and then we can get started. So I just want to make sure the sound is working. Testing 1 2 3. Testing 1 2 3. So the sound should be doing pretty good. If it's not working on YouTube, do let me know. Right now, I don't know if we have anyone watching on YouTube, maybe one person. So let's get started over here and let's look at the Crypto in Fear and Greed Index really quickly. Let me get the music going, and let's get started here. We go live every Tuesday and Saturday at 9 p.m. Central Time. Sometimes, like tonight, it's a slightly earlier, but in general, that's kind of when we go live. If I ever have to change the time, I let you guys know on Telegram. Otherwise, you can also be alerted on YouTube if you have the alerts set to on. If you guys want to join the Telegram, of course, it's free to join as well. My trading group is also available through my links. But right now, the Crypto Fear and Greed Index is coming in at fear at 26. So again, 26 is the fear. Yesterday we were in extreme greed extreme fear at 22, and last week we were in fear at 28, and then of course last month we were at 29 in fear. So this is just a good indicator. Anytime this gets close to 10, like it did less than a month ago, that's a great time to accumulate Bitcoin around, and that was around 80,000. The previous time I got this oversold was when you were around 77,000. About a year ago, maybe 6 months ago, 9 months ago, whatever it was. So it's been always a great time to accumulate. Now, let's go over and look at kind of what Bookmap is doing. Bookmap is pretty simple. It tells you where all of the orders are at on Bitcoin, where all of the liquidity is lying. And I would say about 90% of the time, eventually the price goes to these levels when it says you are going to go to a level. So on the right, you have the daily time frame. Right now, you can see we have very little liquidity to the downside, and most of it is suggesting we go up to $94,000. That's the biggest area of red or of liquidity to above us, and then above that 95,000. And then if you look to the weekly, you have some orders still around that $75,000 level. You have a lot of orders still at 81,000, and there's not a ton of liquidity above us on the weekly. But the daily does, for the first time in a long time, actually suggest we go to the upside, at least short term, to about 94 to 95,000. Remember, if you guys have been following me for a while, you know that I have a Bitcoin order set to sell at $95,100. I've been in this trade now. The last time I entered the trade was 3 weeks ago, but I started entering the trade probably close to a month and a half ago. And at this point, I would just like to get out. I see a flag on the 15-minute time frame that's brewing, but I want to start on like the weekly time frame and work our way down. So the weekly time frame still suggests that we get that move eventually. It's taking forever, but it still suggests we get that move eventually back to the 21-day moving average at about $108,000. The weekly time frame is curving up quite nicely on the stock RSI, and I go back to the idea that if you just open up a long here, you're probably going to do decently well. You probably will. Stop below, 80,000, take profit of 108. You could do pretty well with that trade. That's not financial advice. That's just one of my thoughts and ideas of the market. The daily time frame right now is overbought. That's a lower high by the books, but I still see us going at least to $95,000 short term. Our next major resistance is about $96,000. You just right now are getting above a major resistance level at 91.5. So if we stay above 91.5, I see no reason for us to go to the next level of liquidity or resistance around $96,000. That's just based off of the 12-hour time frame and support and resistance flip. So that's kind of my thoughts. If we stay above, if this, then that. If we stay above 91.5, I see 96,000 being the next target to the upside. 8-hour time frame is overbought. Be cautious of that. I wouldn't worry too much about that 4-hour time frame. Right now, I will say this. The 4-hour time frame is getting rejected off of the 200-day moving average, coming in at 93.4. And that could suggest you go retest 91.5 again. We'll see what happens. I don't love the 4-hour time frame by any means. I would not be longing the 4-hour time frame right now on Bitcoin right here. It's just not a great look. If you guys have requests for altcoins, let me know in the comment section below. I appreciate if you guys hit the likes. It does help support the channel. So if we look at the 2-hour time frame, we can see that the 2-hour time frame is well above the 200. You can see that the 1-hour time frame is as well. And I see a flag now. So now I'm going to kind of tell you where I think we're going to go short term, and we're going to go from there. So the 1-hour time frame is in like some kind of, I would say that's a bull flag. So the 1-hour time frame is in a bull flag, and I see a I see a major move higher here on Bitcoin, and that suggests that you go up to about $97,000. That would get you above that resistance level, and it suggests that you do go up to about $97,000 exactly, actually. And we'll see what happens, but I gotta say, that looks pretty likely to me to happen. Bookmap, again, has more liquidity above us, at least on the daily time frame it does. Weekly, maybe not so much. But that's a falling wedge or daily, that's a bull pennant on the 15, on the 1 hour. And I see us probably flag out here and getting that pump to the upside. If we zoom into the half-hour time frame, it suggests the same thing. You're oversold on the half-hour time frame. You're above the 200-day moving average. Those are two bullish signs. And you're touching the 21, which is another great sign, and you're in a falling wedge. This suggests there's a 70% chance that you go up to $97,000 before you take out this 200-day moving average at 90,400. I see more upside for Bitcoin. It looks like the most likely scenario. If I go down to the 15-minute time frame, kind of the same thing. You're above the 200-day moving average. You're in a flag. You touch the 21, and now you're below it, and you're above the 200-day moving average. So that's just what I see going on. I see more upside really for Bitcoin into tonight. If you guys see something different or have different opinions, you can of course let me know. But that's just what I see going on right now. Is more upside for Bitcoin to about $97,000. So ICP, that's the next thing I kind of want to talk about right now. ICP has been in a major downtrend. I see it continuing lower. You're below the 200-day moving average on the 1 hour time frame, at least a 200-day smooth moving average, and I have my stop loss above the 1 hour 200. You've been below this 1 hour 200-day smooth moving average ever since about you lost this level up here at 550. So if you enter a short there, you'd still be in great money. So that's what I'm doing. I'm going to enter the short now. I'm already in it actually from 341, and I see it continuing down 1 hour time frame. That's actually not a lower high, but it doesn't look great. If we're bullish here, you're going to make a higher low above 330. If you don't do that, I see more downside for ICP. So that's just the current trade I'm in right now is ICP. Zcap's doing quite well as well. But at this point, ICP looks like the downtrend is going to continue. And I've told you this before in other live streams, but whenever I see a crazy wick like that to the downside, in this case, ICP went down to $1.18, $1.20. Usually you end up filling that. Maybe it's a double bottom or maybe it's a lower low, but that's usually what I see. Thank you, Tracy, for the likes. So ICP right now, I'm not saying you're going down to $1.20, but I think that's the most likely scenario. So I think there's a 70% chance that you go down to $1.20. So that's not guaranteed, but that's what I see. And then look at this. The stock RSI on the daily is going straight up. That's a very bearish sign. That suggests you're almost definitely going to make a lower high. The chance is probably 90% chance. Anytime you make you go get overbought that fast on any time frame, that's usually a lower high on that time frame. 12-hour is not overbought. I thought it would be, but at the end of the day, 8 hours almost overbought, 6 hours overbought, 4 hours overbought, and 4 hours now about to curve down. So that's just what I see going on right now. I see more downside for ICP right now. Now, if you guys have requests for anything else, let me know in the comment section below, and I'll look at them. But for right now, that's what I see. So I see ICP going further to the downside. Again, just to recap, you'd have a better entry than me if you took this trade. Not financial advice, but if you put your stop loss above the 1 hour 200-day smooth moving average on ICP, that would be at $3.90. You did quite well. And again, my take profit is $1.20. That's just that's the current trade I'm in. This is probably going to be a swing trade. We'll see what happens. Yeah, it was October 25th. October 13th, you went down there, so you get November to December. It's been nearly going on 2 months now since that you hit that level. And then from there, you went all the way up to 994. But we'll see what happens. I still see that's insane. That's actually quite a crazy bounce. You went from $1.18 to $9.94. I didn't realize that happened. That's kind of crazy, actually. Either way, it's still pretty bearish right now, and I still see more downside on ICP, and I'll leave it at that. That's my update for ICP. Thank you for the likes as well. I appreciate them, Tracy. Thank you for the share. If you guys have requests for altcoins, let me know in the comment section below, and I get the market sucks right now. It does surprise me a little bit that we don't have no engagement on YouTube, but that is what it is. So this is my update right now for whatever the market's doing. I'll be back live on Saturday at 9 p.m. Central Time. If you guys have requests, let me know. But yeah, well, we had one person watch for a second. But at the end of the day, that's kind of my update. Like I see more upside for Bitcoin and more downside for ICP. Now, obviously, if Bitcoin pumps, ICP could as well. We'll see what happens. I watch. Well, what do I see going for Bitcoin tonight? Well, I watch this falling wedge here that you have on the 15-minute time frame for Bitcoin with a measure move of $97,000 exactly, and see what happens and see if it's going to play out. If you lose a 5-minute 200-day moving average on Bitcoin, it's likely that this flag is not going to play out, and it's going to take even longer to pump. And it's kind of looking like that could be the most likely scenario. I hate to say it on Bitcoin because the 4-minute already lost to 200. Now it suggests to me the 5-minute does the same thing. We'll see what happens, but I'll remain. That would probably be better if Bitcoin dumps back down to 91.5 and hits that support one more time. That'd be pretty bullish, and it's only a $700 drop. And then that would give ICP, if Bitcoin drops, ICP might continue to drop as well. We'll see, but that's kind of my update for Bitcoin and Internet Protocol. So, I gotta say, super short term. If you lose the 5-minute 200, I wouldn't be in a trade, and it looks like you're about to lose it right now. So at this point, I see Bitcoin going back down to 91.5 for a bullish retest, and then from there you could look for another bounce. But your next support on the 1-hour time frame is about 91.5, and then below that $90,400. So that's kind of my update on Bitcoin for the rest of the night. I wouldn't be surprised either if you go down to $90,300 or even 90K. I don't see us losing 90K, but we'll see. Anything is possible. Again, Bookmap does have more liquidity to the upside to about 94K at least one more time. But that doesn't mean that super short term you don't go down and test 90K or 91K. I see support, though, on the 1 hour at $90,200 for Bitcoin. So we can definitely go look at these other assets. Solana, Uniswap. And yeah, let's go do that and see what's going on in the markets. Okay, so Solana on the daily time frame. Let me look at the daily time frame. Daily time frame kind of just consolidating nicely, but this is still bear flag to me. You're still below major resistance at 144, 145, and this is kind of what I see going on for Solana. If Bitcoin pumps above not 100K, maybe it's a different story, but for right now, I see more downside for Solana, and your mission move right now would probably take you to the next support at $96. And I've said this before. I've definitely talked about this bear flag before, and I'm going to go over it again. I see Solana being pretty bearish, and you're barely below it, but you're not above it 200-day moving hours on the 4-hour time frame. That's a bearish sign. And you're trying to hold above support at 132, but if you don't stay above 132, that's even more bearish, and I would say 96 is incoming. So I'd be surprised if in the next 30 days we don't see $96 on Solana. That's just kind of my macro update. It looks kind of bearish right now on Solana. So anything's possible. I mean, take everything I say with a grain of salt, but it looks bearish for Solana. You look at Uniswap, you're below the daily 200, coming in at $7.93, and you are about to get rejected off of this resistance level here at $6.40, and you have that crazy wick down there at $1.97. Now it is Bitcoin. Bitcoin just lost the 5-minute 200. You just lost 92,000. I would be looking for $90,200 to be the next stop on Bitcoin. That is a crazy wick. So there's another crazy wick on Solana, or on Uniswap. Anytime I see that happen, like I just said for ICP, I see you filling that gap. I mean, at least coming close to $2 would be kind of what I expect. So if you do not break above 624, I see the next support, really, as crazy as it sounds, being 340. If you lose that level, I see about $2 being the next support. So I gotta say, Uniswap looks very bearish to me, and I see more downside to about 324. If that doesn't hold, then $2 basically on Uniswap. This looks much worse. This looks even worse, or not much. Yeah, it looks slightly worse, I would say, than Solana. So both of these coins look bearish to me, and that's kind of my update on that. Uniswap just looks bad, plain bad. It looks bad. Okay, one more thing I do want to look at is I don't usually look at Ethereum. Weekly time frame is oversold on Ethereum, suggesting that you can bounce here. I would take that with a grain of salt because the Bitcoin doesn't. But we'll see what happens. I did say that I think if you long Bitcoin at 80K or put your stop below 80K, I don't think you're going to get stopped out. But you never know. So I'm just going to kind of clear some of this clutter up on the weekly time frame. But that's all oversold on the weekly, and that suggests you can get a higher high here. That's a higher low on the weekly for Ethereum. I can't even keep all these coins straight. But for Ethereum right now, that is a falling wedge. Measure move is nearly $6,000. And at the end of the day, that does seem probable that you can get back up there, at least on the weekly time frame. It might take 3 to 6 months, but it does seem probable that you can get above that level on Solana. So then we jump down to the daily. You're below the 200-day moving average on the daily on Ethereum. That's not great, but maybe you can get back above it. 4-hour time frame on Ethereum is above the 200, but I want to see you get oversold on Ethereum on the 4-hour time frame above the 200-day moving average. If you can't do that, then it's really no go anyways. So I would say if Ethereum loses about $3,100, it's going to be bearish again. So I would wait for the 4-hour time frame to get oversold. If it gets oversold and you balance above 3,100, then you're great and you could enter long. Put your stop loss below the 4-hour 200, but for right now, I wouldn't be touching Ethereum until the 4-hour gets oversold. 2-hour kind of is not oversold either. 1 hour is not even oversold. So I wouldn't even say this is a horrible short back down to the 4-hour 21. Now, I'm not going to take that short, but I could see an easy move down to $3,100 on Ethereum being likely, at least in the next 24 hours. And if you're oversold above 3,100, I could see a long happening. But for right now, I wouldn't be touching the 4-hour time frame on Ethereum or even Ethereum at all until you get oversold on the 4-hour time frame. So that's my update on Ethereum. It looks bearish to me right now. I hope you guys have a great night. I'm going to wrap it up there. You guys are very welcome for the requests, and I'm just going to check YouTube one more time and see what's going on over there on YouTube. Remember, we're live on YouTube as well, so if you want to see the entire screen, head on over there. I'll be back live on Saturday at 9 p.m. Central Time. Until then, trade safe. Always use the stop loss. The trend is your friend until the end. Right now, the trend, I will say, is to the downside on Bitcoin. You're getting rejected again off the 4-hour 200. That's not a good sign, so... and it doesn't look like that 15-minute time frame falling wedge is going to play out either. So it is what it is at this point. Because of that, I see $90,200 being the next support for Bitcoin short term. Have a good night, guys. Everyone, enjoy the rest of your Tuesday, and I will see you guys on Saturday for the next live stream. Until then, trade safe, and I'll see you guys on Saturday night. Have a good week, y'all. Goodbye.